Shalom. This is an emergency broadcast alert giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, in whom we are in great depth. Double honors to the apostles, great millstone, who rule well, continue doing so, standing firm in the eyes of terror, who I learned this truth from. To the elders, the bishops, Akim and Aquab, salutations and blessings to the house of David. We are the hopeful elect at GMS. This is your brother, of course, Yahweh, another quick one. And this is part 2 of Scared to Death. And jumping right into the scripture is Amos 5 and verse 19. And if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him, shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it? Now, before you comment or say anything about this video, let me remind you, once there's plenty of trees and water, there's an ecosystem that is beautiful and it coexists with itself. You have your mangroves, you have your lakes, your rivers, you have lots of bush and trees. Animals can hide. But when you start cutting down those trees, well, before you start cutting down those trees, those animals can actually live or feed on each other. Naturally, if they had to eat some type of animal, whatever, some creature, when, the food chain, in other words, because we're still living in Esau Edom's kingdom, so there's such a thing as a meat food chain. Okay, so animals do eat each other. But when you start cutting down the trees and you level the field and you remove the quantity of fish that is normally in the water, and you take out the flying species that they lay eggs and nest in the grounds or in trees that animals can feed on, these creatures intend to feed on something else that is easier to eat. Mind you, Esau Edom has done just that. The reason why, thinking as a man, you haven't seen these creatures as you didn't, well, you didn't never encountered these creatures as much as you did. You didn't venture deep into the woods. Nowadays, there are not as much trees as they used to be because Esau Edom has cut them down. He's leveling the field. He opens up the bush. He builds homes where no one's ever seen a home before. He builds rivers and lakes where there never was one before. So he changes the terrain. These animals that had been living there for a very long time now feel uncomfortable and feel threatened. Now, we know of mountain lions, bears, wolves, coyotes, bobcats. There's pretty big rodents, you have the rabbits, and you have like these water rats, and you have all these things that you've seen on TV because Esau Edom has showed you them. Because that's why you believe in them, because Esau Edom has showed you them. All right? Now, because there's AI, now you don't believe that these things exist. These new creatures that are coming out because of AI. But yet, the gorilla, nobody knew the gorilla existed until Esau Edom showed it to you. Anyways.
There may be some viewers that know who I am by hearing my encounter or seeing me on TV. these woods are haunted. I'm going to say this real quick. If you really want to hear what happened to me, where they didn't change the word,
And the woods are not haunted. They're not haunted. They are creatures that can hunt you, but the woods are not haunted.
words that I said, listen to this episode, or you can listen to me on Dogman Encounters, where I first shared my encounter, because I've talked to a few people that have been on that show, and they said that they changed parts of their encounters. We don't need anything changed about what happened to us. When you omit some information, it could possibly cost somebody their life. If they do react in the wrong way, if they encounter one of these things, it could cost somebody their life. So I thank everybody for their kind words that I've read in the comment section, and all the people that have reached out to me on Messenger, because evidently my episode is everybody hears it and says that's their favorite one.
And the ones who say that their favorite ones is Esau Edom, so-called white man. Because he, like I said, he needs something really, really scary to really shake him, shake his foundations, until something like this doesn't come breaking through the window or the door. He ain't gonna be scared until he don't see his little ones being snatched and taken away. He ain't gonna be scared, especially when Esau Edom, so-called white man, that's in power today, covering things up. Everything somebody says something or show up with something with legitimate footage, they erase it. They found a whole body of Bigfoot the other day. Well, maybe not the other day, but like a few months ago, right? Like decomposing. And they say they don't know what animal it is. But when I looked at the footage, you can see it's humanoid. You can see it looks like what they call a Bigfoot. And guess what happened? Now, all you can see that comes up here and there is just the skull. Because somebody took a clip from the skull, and that's the only thing that's coming up now.
And okay, I don't know how to say positively that thank you, because my terror brought you such great entertainment. But if you like it, that's good. If it saves a life, excellent.
And entertainment, it will be for the elect. When Yahweh Shem Shai puts all these things, in movement, when they start, popping out of the woods and into people's homes, and people shooting each other, and people grabbing their food and doing this and that, it's like it's gonna be chaotic, because it's like you're gonna run from somebody, who's shooting his gun, and then you're gonna try to cross a stream or something, and a crocodile's gonna snatch you, or maybe you're gonna try to jump a fence, and right before you try to jump that fence, a snake just bites you. You go into somebody's home and you're sitting down because you just finished running half a mile, and there's like 6 dogs just sitting there looking at you, hungry. And I'm not saying dog man, I'm just saying just regular wolves, or maybe just regular dogs.
Not trying to be famous, definitely not trying to do that. I just had something happen to me years ago that it opened up and closed. some portals in my mind, if you will, as opposed going when you go along the thoughts of monsters don't exist. They're just in books and Hollywood movies. But I'm telling you, you're never going to see a werewolf, dog man, Bigfoot in your life because they're not real. Let me say,
They're not real, like I said before, because you never seen it. And as long as you don't see it, you're going to say, that's not real. But if Esau shows it to you, and then you're going to be like, oh, maybe. You know. Well, let me tell you something. Again, the woods are called the woods because there's a lot of trees, there's a lot of bush, there's a lot of stuff in it. But when you start cutting it down, the animals that were living in there, they have to go somewhere. They have to eat. And you don't know what kind of creature was living in there until you see it, right? Yeah, I'll read the scripture again. Amos 5:19. As if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. These are the common animals that we mostly see. Now, should I remind you when Yahweh Shai created the earth by the power of Yahweh? Yahweh Baal Yahweh Shai created the earth, the waters, the animals, the land, right? He created, man and beast walked together, right? And Esau Edom named dinosaurs, dragons, creatures that he didn't understand. He put a name to them. I'm sure Noah would have put a good. I'm sure Salakia. I'm sure Adam had the perfect name, but for some reason it didn't appear in the scripture because Esau Edom likes to remove things from the scripture. But we do have enough for salvation. I'm just saying, speaking out loud.
Say this emphatically. Wrong, wrong, wrong. These things exist. And should you be unfortunate enough to see one, your life is going to change. When I had my encounter, or after I had my encounter, and I got all these years to think about stuff, I think within the first 7 days, I got kind of pissed off.
Notice he said 7 days.
Now, the reason I was pissed off is because ever since I was little, my parents tell me there's no monster in the closet. There's nothing up under your bed. No, there's nothing waiting around the side of the house when you go to take the trash out. And yet, I'm standing a few feet away from a monster. So I'm like, why would my parents lie to me? Why would they not prepare me for what the frick is out there in the world?
Because when your parents were living, they did not encounter these creatures because there were plenty of animals and plenty of trees to go around. Today, there's not that much.
And I had to come to grips with it because they didn't know. It wasn't done maliciously. It was just to tell you this to keep you from being afraid of the dark. And my father was right. The dark can't hurt you. The dark can't hurt you. What lurks in the dark is what can tear your rooter from your tutor. That's what can hurt you, whether you trip on a stone or fall in a hole because you can't see in the dark. The dark ain't going to hurt you. It's what lurks in the dark that can get you. So having said that,
now let me see if they show anything. So in a way I'm glad, in a way I'm not. But I'll put the description, the link for this video in the description box. so you can see the whole story behind this guy's encounter, because all it is him explaining the whole encounter. All right, and it's about 3 hours long. So I just gave you the little, you know, rundown of him encountering a so-called dog man. All right, because there are stories that speak of these creatures that are written, and people don't pay them no mind. They say, excuse me, it's folk tale, it's lies, but they document it. They have detail. They it's anyways. It is what it is, man. If you're interested of listening to his story, I'll place the link in the description box. And because this leads to a lot of people going to be very, very scared, because if these creatures can come out, and do what they did to him, what's stopping them from snatching a kid? That's what I said. Shalom.